our responsibility is not good enough. In this sense, many people characterize Confucius as a transmitter, therefore he's a conservative. We wanted to go back to the past and look at the sage kings in the past, that the world in front of us is deteriorating and the future is bleak. Again, this is wrong. This is the Buddhist notion about different karma. We're in this world, maybe it will take 500 years, and we cannot do much. We try to survive this world. The Confucian position is very different. We say the world is in terrible shape, we want to transform from within. The notion is, I know it cannot be done, but I cannot but do it. I know it cannot be done is a realistic assessment. My effort, together with my small group of disciples, maybe 72 immediate disciples, 30,000 students, very small group, couldn't do it. But I cannot but do it. In other words, that's my commitment. And of course, if there's a chance of saving a few souls, not saving in the Christian sense, but to cultivate some of the people who also became the profound persons, our companionship will be extended, and that extension will help us to transform the world. So I would say Confucius, in a way, as a transmitter, was a much powerful creator than normally what we associate with creativity. The only creativity that is creating something out of nothing, right? That's creative. We call it creative ex nihilo. That's only God. God creates, of course, now still theologically debating, did he create out of nothing or he create with something? If he create with something, something prior existed before God's creation. But anyway, that's debate. Just remember one example. If you want to be creative in literature, you want to become a great writer, what do? You learn the language. You control the grammar. You learn the language in such a way you're going to write things that everybody understands. That's grammatically right, and yet something brilliant comes out of it. That's how you become a great writer. You say, I want to become a great writer. I want to create something so new that I want to do it totally ungrammatically. Can this be done? If I don't know the language, I don't know the rules of the game. Of course not. So Confucius' idea is to say, look, I'm part of history, I'm a transmitter, but I look into the future, I want to transform it. I got inspiration from the past. This is how Confucius defined himself as a learner, 好学. He's the first teacher. And teaching entails learning. Without learning, you simply cannot teach. Well, finally, let me just note, then we'll have a chance to talk about, underlying this mode of thinking is a very different conception of being human. You know, the self with its essential relationship. What does it mean by being human? They decided, Confucius in particular, not to use a reductionist model. Reductionist model is to simplify a complex picture into something very essential, like defining, what is human being? The Greeks say, wow, human beings are rational beings. Marx would say human beings are tool users. And more recently, I mentioned that example again, the legalists, or the linguistic importance. Human beings are people who can speak. Now, Confucius would consider all these features, rationality, linguistic competence, and hard work, are important parts of learning to be human, no question about it. But they also talk about human beings as emotional beings, with feeling, sympathy and compassion in particular. Human beings are historical beings, social beings, political beings, and also metaphysical beings, the beings, unlike any other animals, trying to search for meaning of life. And if you have some sense, some preliminary sense about the basic texts in the Confucian tradition, we call the 5 classics. The 5 classics, from my point of view, each one of them addresses a dimension of being human. The book of poetry, human being as emotional, sympathetic being. the Book of Rights as social being, the Spring and Autumn Meadows, historical being, the Book of Change, its ultimate concern, meaning, and the Book of Documents, we call it, with emphasis on benevolence as a ruling ideology of of virtue. It's a book, the book defines human beings as political beings. Now, in this sense, Confucianism is a tradition of books, but not a tradition of the book. And any of the books that a Confucian studied were not revealed books, even though they may have been composed by great sages. So, since each book is recorded by human beings, each book is constrained by limitations of the time and of the place. And so I want to make a very bold suggestion. You may challenge me. There's no dogma in the Confucian tradition. Each personality, each idea, each institution, or every idea, personality, every idea, every institution is subject to critical reflection. There's nothing in the tradition that is totally sacred and beyond question. All the major traditions, spiritual traditions in the world, will have to have specific language of that tradition to define what it is. If you do not accept those particular features, you're not able to enter into that world. Confucianism is very different. There's no dogma. Okay, see you next Thursday. Not yours.
Yeah, it's not mine, but it's his.
Oh.
He's my roommate.
Oh.